Majestic, slow-building score. June 18th, 1815. A small town called Waterloo in today's Belgium becomes the pivot of Europe's fate. On the ridge of Mont Saint-Jean, Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of Wellington, stands at the head of a coalition of British, Dutch-Belgian, Hanoverian, and Brunswick troops, facing Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French, and a peerless master of war. The day ends in Wellington's favor, but Waterloo is more than a simple triumph. It is the clash of two philosophies. On one side, Napoleon's audacity, speed, and decisive concentration of force. On the other, Wellington's immovable patience, disciplined defense, and ruthless sense of timing. Between these two, the continent holds its breath, waiting to see which creed of war will endure. Arthur Wellesley was born in 1769, the same year as Napoleon. As a young man, he was unremarkable, reserved, even considered invisible by some. The army changed him. In 1797, he went to India, where war became his teacher. At Seringapatam in 1799, and above all at Asai in 1803, Wellington forged the habits that would define him. Avoid needless risks, fortify the line, and strike only when advantage is certain. He learned to read ground as a weapon, drainage, slopes, fields, and roads, and to drill units into reliable, interlocking parts. India taught him the power of steadiness, logistics, and discipline. When he returned to Europe, his command style stood in stark contrast to Napoleon's: pragmatic, defensive when needed, sparing of lives, but brutal and decisive in the moment of opportunity. While Wellington learned patience in India, Europe witnessed Napoleon's meteoric rise. A young artillery officer turned general, then first consul, then emperor. He reinvented warfare through speed, initiative, and concentration of force. He broke coalitions by striking before they could unite, marched his armies faster and farther, and hurled his main effort at the enemy's weakest point. For 2 decades, Europe bent beneath the weight of his victories. Yet his march carried an idea as well as an army, ambition to reorder the continent, and faith in the decisive battle that ends all doubt. To overcome such a commander required an adversary of equal resolve, if not equal style. History arranged the meeting. 2 men born the same year, shaped by different schools of war, converging at one field, Waterloo, where audacity would test itself against endurance, and where the judgment of Europe would be rendered in a single day. Dawn, 18 June, 1815. Napoleon brings more than 70,000 men to break Wellington before the Prussians of Marshal Blücher can intervene. Wellington fields roughly 67,000, many Dutch-Belgian units still unseasoned. He chooses his ground carefully: the Mont Saint-Jean ridge, concealed reverse slopes, firm defensive positions, and forward strongpoints at Hougoumont and La Haye-Sainte. His plan is stark: hold all day, let the Prussians tip the scales. The French open with a thunderous cannonade. Assaults pound Hougoumont. Flames and smoke rise as the guards defend the gates. Waves of cavalry charge the ridge, breastplates flashing, only to shatter against British squares, bayonets bristling, flags steady, volleys measured. All morning and into midday, pressure builds. La Haye-Sainte bleeds white. The ridge heaves and recovers. Wellington rides the line with a single order: stand firm. Artillery cannot unseat the defense. Cavalry cannot break the squares. Early afternoon, the Imperial Guard prepares, the finest of France, the hammer Napoleon trusts when all else fails. But on the high ground, discipline meets valor. The British line bends, never breaks, trading yards for time as a new sound rises from the east. The Prussians are arriving. Smoke columns thicken over Plunge-en-Mas as Blücher's men engage, forcing Napoleon to fight on two fronts. Now fatigue grips the French army. Napoleon commits the guard for the final blow, veterans marching into a wall of fire. Musket flashes strobe in the haze. The advance hesitates. A ripple becomes a recoil. Somewhere in the tumult, a cry spreads. La Garde recule! The guard is falling back. That moment, a moral collapse opens the field. Wellington seizes it with a single command: advance across the line. The coalition surges down slope. Formation gives way to flight. Guns are abandoned. Discipline dissolves into panic. As evening gathers, the French army breaks. Napoleon's last gamble ends with the field lost, the road to Paris open, and the legend of invincibility shattered. Waterloo decided more than a campaign. It has ended an era. Waterloo crowns Wellington's reputation. He is not celebrated for brilliance in the mold of Napoleon, but for something colder and rarer: mastery of defense, judgment of ground, steadiness under pressure, and an instinct for the exact second to counterstrike. It makes him the perfect counterweight to Napoleon's impatience for decision and appetite for risk. Some argue the coalition could not have held without him. Equally, without Napoleon, Wellington might never have stepped into legend. Each, in a sense, completed the other. After Waterloo, Wellington's role expands beyond the battlefield. He helps shape the peace that follows, and later serves as Britain's Prime Minister. Yet his most enduring monument is this single day, Waterloo, which buried an imperial dream and ushered in a European balance under British naval and commercial supremacy through the 19th century. The field is a grave for ambition and a testament to endurance, a place where patience proved the deadlier weapon. Waterloo is remembered as Wellington's victory, but it also poses a question. Without Napoleon, would such renown have been possible? Rivals do more than oppose us. They sharpen us, forcing clarity of purpose and discipline of will. In war, the winner is not always the bolder blade, but the steadier hand, the one that waits for the single irrevocable moment. On the ridge at Mont Saint-Jean, Arthur Wellington found that moment and did not miss. The battle he later called the nearest run thing became the turning point of a continent. And so, in the long memory of history, Wellington steps forward, not merely as the man who defeated Napoleon, but as the commander who knew precisely when to stand and when to strike.